The fluorescent lights of Save Mart grocery store buzz overhead as Emma Chen stands frozen in the cereal aisle, her 5-year-old son tugging at her worn jacket sleeve. The numbers on her phone screen blur through unshed tears. Insufficient funds. Again. She's tried 3 different cards, deleted items one by one from her cart, and still the total sits stubbornly at $47.63, while her checking account shows $32.18 until Friday's paycheck. "Mommy, can we get the dinosaur cereal?" Liam asks, his brown eyes wide with hope, clutching a box with a cartoon T-Rex on the front. His sneakers have holes in the toes. She noticed this morning, new shoes cost at least $30, money she doesn't have, won't have for weeks, maybe months. "Not today, baby," she whispers, her throat tight. She returns the cereal to the shelf with shaking hands, then looks at her cart. Milk, bread, peanut butter, pasta, the cheapest tomato sauce, a bag of apples because Liam needs something healthy, chicken thighs because they're on sale. She's already eliminated everything that isn't absolutely essential. The items in her cart represent 5 days of meals if she stretches them, skips lunch herself, makes every bite count. She does the math again in her head. Remove the apples. That saves $4. Remove the chicken, another $6. Pasta and sauce can last 3 days if she's careful. Peanut butter sandwiches for Liam's school lunch. Milk because he needs calcium for his growing bones. That gets her to $30, close enough that she can use the spare change in her car's cup holder to make up the difference. Emma starts removing items, her movements mechanical, her face burning with shame. A woman in expensive athleisure walks past, her cart overflowing with organic produce, name-brand cereals, packages of fresh salmon. Emma doesn't look up, doesn't make eye contact, focuses on the linoleum floor with its scuff marks and the way her vision keeps blurring no matter how many times she blinks. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Liam's small hand touches her cheek, and she realizes tears are sliding down her face, hot and humiliating. "I'm not crying, sweetheart. Just tired." She forces a smile that feels like cracking glass. "How about we make this a fun dinner week? Pasta is your favorite, right?" Liam nods, but his expression is uncertain, too perceptive for 5 years old. He's seen her cry too many times in the past 8 months, since his father left, since the child support check stopped coming, since her part-time job at the diner became her only income, and the bills kept arriving with their red overdue notices. She pushes her depleted cart toward the checkout lanes, Liam walking beside her, his hand in hers, trusting her to make everything okay when she has no idea how to do that anymore. The cashier is young, bored, chewing gum as she scans items with mechanical efficiency. Bipo counts out bills and quarters, her fingers trembling, acutely aware of the line forming behind her, of the impatient sighs and shuffling feet. $32.18, the cashier announces, and Emma exhales in relief. She's done it. They'll eat this week. It's not much, but it's something. As she gathers her 2 meager bags, Liam tugs her hand again. "Mommy, that man is watching us." Emma follows his gaze, and her breath catches. Across the checkout area, near the customer service desk, stands a man who doesn't belong in Save Mart. Everything about him screams wealth and power. His charcoal suit probably costs more than her monthly rent. His dark hair is perfectly styled, his posture radiating controlled strength. And he's staring directly at her with an intensity that makes her skin prickle. She's seen men look at her before, especially after Jake left, assessing whether she's easy prey, whether a single mom might be desperate enough for attention, for help, for anything. She's learned to recognize that look, to avoid it, to gather Liam close and walk quickly in the opposite direction. But this man's gaze is different. It's not predatory. It's calculating, curious, almost concerned. His dark eyes track the bags in her hands, then drop to Liam, then back to her face, where tears have left tracks through her minimal makeup. Emma lifts her chin, a small act of defiance against the shame burning in her chest, and walks toward the exit. She will not be pitied. She will not be judged. She's doing her best, and if her best involves crying in grocery stores and feeding her son pasta for 5 days straight, then so be it. They'll survive. They always do. The October air outside is crisp, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and approaching rain. Her car, a 15-year-old Honda with a dented bumper and a check engine light that's been on for 3 months, sits in the far corner of the parking lot, where she always parks to avoid door dings she can't afford to fix. She buckles Liam into his booster seat, stores the bags in the trunk, and slides behind the wheel. The engine turns over on the 3rd try, and she whispers a prayer of gratitude to a God she's not sure is listening anymore. As she backs out of the space, she catches a glimpse of the man from inside standing near the store entrance, watching her leave. Beside him stands another man, broader, clearly a bodyguard, speaking into his wrist. The sight sends a chill down her spine. Who brings a bodyguard to Save Mart? She pushes the thought away and focuses on getting home, on making dinner, on helping Liam with his homework, on all the ordinary tasks that keep her moving forward when every cell in her body wants to curl up and surrender. She doesn't notice the black Mercedes that pulls out of the parking lot 3 cars behind her. She doesn't see it follow her through the streets of suburban Chicago to her modest apartment building with its peeling paint and broken intercom. She doesn't know that her life is about to change in ways she can't possibly imagine. Because the man in the expensive suit is Alexander Russo. And when Alexander Russo decides he wants something, he doesn't stop until he gets it. And in the fluorescent-lit aisle of Save Mart, watching a beautiful woman choose between apples and dignity, watching a little boy with holes in his shoes hold his mother's hand with complete trust, Alexander made a decision. He's going to fix this. He's going to fix her, whether she wants him to or not. Emma's apartment is on the 3rd floor of a building that once had aspirations of middle-class respectability, but now sags with deferred maintenance and resident turnover. The hallway smells like old carpet and someone's cooking, garlic and onions, making her stomach clench with hunger she'll ignore. Liam chatters about his day at kindergarten as she unlocks the 3 deadbolts she installed herself after Jake left, after the divorce was finalized, after she understood that she was truly on her own. Inside, the apartment is small but clean. She's made it cheerful with secondhand furniture and thrift store finds, colorful throw pillows, Liam's artwork covering the refrigerator, a sense of home that costs effort rather than money. She sets the groceries on the counter and starts putting water on to boil for pasta, while Liam spreads his homework across the kitchen table, sounding out words from his reading assignment. Her phone buzzes. A text from Sandra, her manager at the diner. "Can you cover tomorrow morning? Stacy called in sick again." Emma closes her eyes. Tomorrow is Saturday, Liam's only day off from school, her only day off from everything. But she needs the hours, needs every dollar. "Yes," she types back. 6 to 2? 6 to 4, extra busy with the football crowd. 10 hours. Minimum wage plus tips that might total another $40 or $50 if she's lucky. She can do this. She texts back confirmation and tries not to think about Liam spending another Saturday at her neighbor Mrs. Park's apartment, watching cartoons, eating snacks that Mrs. Park insists on providing, despite being on a fixed income herself. Dinner is quiet. Liam twirls pasta on his fork, tomato sauce dotting his chin, talking about a boy named Marcus who brought Pokemon cards for show and tell. Emma listens, makes appropriate responses, pushes pasta around her own plate while eating as little as possible. She's gotten good at this, at making Liam believe she's full, at saving portions for tomorrow's lunch. She'll eat standing up between diner shifts. After dinner, bath time, stories, tucking Liam into his small bed in the room they share, because the apartment only has one bedroom, and she's given it to him. She sleeps on the pull-out couch in the living room, her back aching most mornings from the broken springs, another thing she can't afford to fix. Liam's eyes droop as she reads, his breathing evening out. She kisses his forehead, inhales his little boy scent of shampoo and innocence, and makes another silent promise that she'll make this life better for him somehow. At 9:30, her apartment settled into quiet. Emma sits at the kitchen table with her laptop, its screen cracked from when she dropped it last month, and opens her bank account. $32.18 minus what she spent tonight leaves $2 and change. 5 days until payday. She needs gas for her car, at least $15 to make it through the week. That leaves negative $13. She checks her credit cards, all maxed out. She checks her PayPal, $7 from a freelance editing job she did 3 weeks ago. The math doesn't work. It never works. She's been treading water for 8 months, and every week she sinks a little deeper. The Child Support Enforcement Office tells her they're working on finding Jake, on garnishing his wages. But he's moved states, changed jobs, disappeared into the vastness of America with its inadequate systems and endless loopholes. Her parents died in a car accident when she was 21, before Liam was born. Jake's parents made it clear they blame her for the divorce, for driving their son away. She has no family, no safety net, just herself and determination that's fraying at the edges. A knock at the door startles her badly enough that she gasps. It's late for visitors. Mrs. Park is asleep by 9. She approaches the door cautiously, checks the peephole, and sees nothing but empty hallway. Another knock, more insistent. Her heart hammering, she opens the door with the chain still attached and peers through the crack. A man in a dark suit stands in the hallway. Not the man from the grocery store, but similar, professional, dangerous. Emma Chen. Who's asking? Her voice is steadier than she feels. My employer would like to speak with you. Downstairs. He promises it will only take a few minutes of your time. Your employer? Ice slides through her veins. Debt collectors. But she hasn't gotten behind enough for that yet, has she? Alexander Russo. He has a business proposition for you. The name means nothing. I'm not interested. She starts to close the door, but the man's hand stops it gently, not forcing, just preventing. Miss Chen, Mr. Russo is prepared to compensate you for your time. $500 for a 10-minute conversation. The number hits her like a physical blow. $500. Gas for a month. Groceries. Liam's shoes. It's impossible. Suspicious. Probably dangerous. What kind of conversation is worth $500? The kind where Mr. Russo explains that himself. He's waiting in his car downstairs. You can see him through the window before you approach. If at any point you feel unsafe, you can leave. Emma's mind races. Every instinct screams danger. Men don't offer $500 for 10 minutes of conversation unless they want something. But $500. She thinks of Liam's shoes, of the check engine light in her car, of the electricity bill due next week with its threat of disconnection. I need to check on my son. Of course. She closes the door, chain still attached, and moves to Liam's room. He's deeply asleep, his breathing soft and even. She looks at Mrs. Park's number in her phone, finger hovering. Then she makes a decision that's probably stupid, definitely risky, but born of 8 months of desperation. She texts Mrs. Park. Emergency. Can you come sit with Liam for 15 minutes? I'll explain later. Mrs. Park responds immediately. Coming now. When the elderly Korean woman arrives, her silver hair in curlers, her expression concerned, Emma gives her a brief version of the truth. Someone wants to offer me a job. I need to talk to them downstairs. I'll be in view of the building the whole time. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, call the police. Mrs. Park's eyes narrow. What kind of job? I don't know yet, but they're offering $500 just to talk. That's not normal, Emma. I know, but I need to try. Mrs. Park sighs but nods, settling into Emma's couch with her phone. 20 minutes. I'm timing you. Emma grabs her phone, makes sure it's charged, and follows the suited man downstairs. The October night is cold enough that she can see her breath. The parking lot is mostly empty at this hour. Beneath a streetlight sits a black Mercedes, its engine running, windows tinted. The suited man opens the back door and steps aside. Emma approaches slowly, every nerve alert. Through the open door, she can see the man from the grocery store, Alexander Russo, sitting in the back seat, his expression neutral, not threatening. The interior smells like leather and expensive cologne. Miss Chen, he says in a voice that's surprisingly soft, cultured. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me. Please, sit. I promise you're completely safe. Against her better judgment, Emma slides into the car. The door closes, but she notes it's not locked. The suited man takes a position outside, giving them privacy. Inside, the car is warm, luxurious, a world away from her Honda with its broken heater. You followed me from the grocery store, Emma says, deciding direct is best. I did, Alexander confirms without hesitation. I apologize if that frightened you. It wasn't my intention. What was your intention? He studies her with those dark, intelligent eyes. I saw you crying in the store. I saw you removing items from your cart. I saw your son, his shoes, the way you counted your money. And I saw strength, dignity, determination. Qualities I admire. That doesn't explain why you followed me home, or why you're offering me money to talk. Direct. I appreciate that. He shifts slightly, and she notices his hands. Strong. No wedding ring. I have a proposition for you, Miss Chen. A job, if you will. I need someone I can trust for a particular role. Someone with no connections to my usual circles. Someone who needs opportunity badly enough to consider unconventional arrangements. Emma's hands clench in her lap. What kind of role? Alexander reaches into his jacket, and Emma tenses, but he only withdraws a business card, handing it to her. The cardstock is heavy, expensive. It reads simply, Alexander Russo, Private Investments, with a phone number. I'm a businessman, Miss Chen. I have various interests, mostly legitimate. Some operating in gray areas of the law. Nothing that would put you in danger. But nothing you'd find in a standard job description either. You're telling me you're a criminal? Her voice is flat. I'm telling you, I operate in spaces where traditional employment doesn't quite fit. I need someone to manage certain aspects of my personal life. Someone to run my household, coordinate with staff, occasionally accompany me to events, handle sensitive correspondence. A personal assistant, essentially, but one who lives in and is available at irregular hours. You want a live-in assistant? I want someone I can trust. Someone who isn't already embedded in Chicago's social circles, who won't gossip, who has strong motivation to maintain discretion. Someone with a child, actually, because it provides natural boundaries and ensures you won't develop complicated attachments. Emma processes this, her mind racing. What's the pay? $10,000 a month, plus room and board in my home. A separate suite for you and your son, with full privacy. Healthcare, all expenses covered. Your son would attend private school. My driver would transport him. You'd have weekends off unless I specifically need you for an event, in which case, you'd receive overtime. The numbers hit her like a tidal wave. $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. It's more than she made in her best year as a freelance editor before Liam was born. It's stability, security, everything she's been desperately scrambling toward for months. Why me, she asks. You could hire anyone. Because you were kind to your son when you had every reason to be frustrated. Because you chose his needs over your pride. Because I saw you count out quarters with shaking hands and then lift your chin and walk out with dignity. I need someone with character, Miss Chen. Character is much harder to find than competence. You don't know anything about my character. You watched me for 30 minutes in a grocery store. His lips curve slightly. I know you're 28, graduated from Northwestern, with honors in English literature. Married Jacob Chen at 21. Had your son Liam at 23. I know your husband left 8 months ago, hasn't paid child support despite court orders. And you've been working double shifts at Miller's Diner while taking freelance editing jobs at night. I know you've never been arrested, never defaulted on debt. And you volunteer at Liam's school despite having no free time. I know your apartment rent is 4 days overdue, and your car needs $800 in repairs you can't afford. Emma's blood runs cold. You investigated me. Thoroughly. I told you, I need someone I can trust. That requires knowing who I'm trusting. He leans forward slightly. Miss Chen, I'm offering you a way out. A real chance to build security for your son. What I'm asking in return is discretion, competence, and presence. Nothing illegal, nothing that would compromise your safety or morals. What about my morals says I'd be comfortable working for someone who operates in gray areas? Your morals say you'd do almost anything to provide for your child. That's not a criticism, it's a reality. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I'm asking you to manage schedules, coordinate household staff, accompany me to dinners where I need someone presentable and intelligent at my side. The gray areas are my concern, not yours. Emma's mind spins. It sounds too good to be true, which usually means it is. But $10,000 a month, healthcare, private school for Liam, her own suite, not a broken couch in a shared bedroom. I need time to think about this. Of course. He reaches into his jacket again, this time withdrawing an envelope. The $500 for your time tonight, as promised. Take 3 days. If you're interested, call the number on the card. If not, keep the money with my compliments, and we'll never speak again. Emma takes the envelope with trembling fingers. $500 in cash, counted and bound. Her vision blurs again. Why are you doing this? She whispers. Something shifts in Alexander's expression. Something that might be vulnerability if men like him could be vulnerable. Because I watched my own mother count quarters in a grocery store when I was about your son's age. Because I remember what desperation looks like. And I'm in a position now to do something about it when I see it. Because maybe I'm not entirely the calculating bastard I'm supposed to be. He reaches across her and opens the door, a clear dismissal. 3 days, Miss Chen. Think carefully. Emma steps out of the car on unsteady legs. The suited man nods to her as she passes. She walks back to her building in a daze, the envelope clutched against her chest like a lifeline or a bomb. She's not sure which. Mrs. Park is waiting, her expression anxious. Well? He offered me a job, Emma says faintly. $10,000 a month. Mrs. Park's eyes widen. Doing what? That's the question, isn't it? That night, Emma doesn't sleep. She lies on her pull-out couch, staring at the ceiling, running scenarios. Best case, Alexander Russo is exactly what he claims. A wealthy businessman who needs an assistant and is willing to pay well for discretion. Worst case, he's dangerous, his motives suspect, and accepting his offer would put her and Liam at risk. But there's a third possibility, one that whispers seductively through her exhausted mind. What if he's both? What if the danger is real but manageable? What if the risk is worth the reward? She's been playing it safe for 8 months, and where has it gotten her? Crying in grocery stores, feeding her son pasta for a week, one car repair away from complete financial collapse. The envelope sits on her kitchen table. She's already mentally spent it 3 times over. Liam's shoes, $30. Gas, $50. The overdue rent, $300. Electricity bill, $90. That leaves $30 for groceries, real groceries, maybe even the dinosaur cereal Liam wanted. But using the money feels like accepting the job, like taking the first step down a path she can't see the end of. By dawn, she's made a decision. She'll investigate Alexander Russo. She'll use the library computers, search public records, see what she can learn about the man who apparently knows everything about her. Then she'll decide. The library opens at 9. She drops Liam at Mrs. Park's, promising she'll be back in 2 hours, and drives to the public library with its free internet and database access. For 90 minutes, she searches. Alexander Russo appears in business filings, property records, charity galas. He owns restaurants, real estate, private equity stakes in various companies. His name appears alongside Chicago's elite, photos of him at fundraisers and gallery openings, always in expensive suits, never smiling fully, often with beautiful women at his side who change every few months. She finds nothing explicitly criminal, but there are gaps, businesses that dead end, partnerships with men whose names appear in news articles about investigations that went nowhere. One article from 3 years ago mentions him peripherally in a piece about organized crime in Chicago, but he's never charged, never implicated directly. The reporter calls him a reputed associate of certain families, language that suggests much while proving nothing. Emma sits back, processing. He wasn't lying about operating in gray areas, but he also seems successful, established, not some street-level criminal. If she accepts his offer, she'd be entering a world she doesn't understand, surrounded by people who play by different rules. But she'd also be giving Liam opportunities she could never provide otherwise. She thinks of her son's face this morning, delighted with his pasta breakfast, because he doesn't know any better, doesn't know that other kids eat fresh fruit and protein and name-brand cereal. She thinks of his shoes with holes, of the birthday party he wasn't invited to last month because she couldn't afford the expensive present all the other kids brought. She thinks of the future, of college funds and braces, and all the normal things parents provide that seem impossibly distant from her current reality. By the time she picks up Liam, she knows what she's going to do. She's terrified, but she's been terrified for 8 months. At least this terror comes with a paycheck. That night, after Liam is asleep, Emma dials the number on the card. It rings once, before Alexander's voice answers. "Miss Chen, have you made a decision?" "I have conditions," she says, proud of how steady her voice sounds. "I'm listening." "I need a contract specifying my duties. Nothing that puts Liam at risk. If anything you ask me to do feels wrong or dangerous, I can refuse without penalty. And I want the first month's pay up front. Half now, half when I start." There's a pause. Then, agreed, with one addition. You sign a non-disclosure agreement covering everything you see, hear, or learn while in my employ. Violation results in legal action and immediate termination with forfeiture of final pay. Emma swallows. How soon would I start? November 1st, 3 weeks. That gives you time to give notice at the diner, arrange Liam's school transfer, and prepare. I'll have my attorney draw up the contracts. Plan to visit the house this Saturday, so you can see your living quarters. Bring Liam. I want him comfortable with the arrangement. "Okay," Emma whispers. "Okay. One more thing, Miss Chen. Welcome to my employ. I have a feeling this arrangement will benefit us both." He disconnects before she can respond. Emma sits in the dark living room of her tiny apartment, holding the phone, wondering if she's just made the best decision of her life or the worst. Only time will tell. And time, in Alexander Russo's world, moves differently than it does for people like her. Saturday arrives with unseasonable warmth, October sunshine spilling through Emma's windows as she dresses Liam in his best clothes, a button-down shirt that's getting too small, and khaki pants from last Easter. She's chosen her own outfit carefully, professional but not trying too hard. Black pants and a burgundy sweater that doesn't have any visible stains or pulls. They're going to see Alexander's house, the place that might become their home, and she needs to appear competent, put together, worthy of the opportunity she's been given. The Mercedes arrives at 10 precisely. The same suited man from before introduces himself as Marcus and helps Liam into a car seat that's already been installed. Top of the line. Expensive. Emma slides into the back seat, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Liam chatters excitedly about the car, about the buttons and screens, about how this is way cooler than Mommy's Honda. Marcus smiles slightly but says nothing, professional to his core. They drive north, out of Emma's neighborhood with its worn buildings and chain-link fences, through transitional areas where gentrification fights decay, and finally into neighborhoods Emma has only seen in magazines. Trees line the streets, their leaves golden and red. Houses set back on manicured lawns, gates and long driveways. Old money and new money mingling in spaces where people like Emma don't exist, except as service providers. The Mercedes turns onto a private drive, pauses at an iron gate that swings open automatically, and continues up a tree-lined lane to a house that makes Emma's breath catch. It's not a mansion, not ostentatious, but it's beautiful. 3 stories of brick and limestone with tall windows, a circular driveway with a fountain, gardens that even in late autumn show evidence of expert care. It's elegant, understated, the kind of wealth that doesn't need to announce itself. "This is where we'll live?" Liam's voice is awed. "Maybe," Emma murmurs. "We're just visiting today." Marcus opens their door and leads them up stone steps to a massive front door that opens before they reach it. A woman in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair pulled into a neat bun, stands in the doorway, her expression warm but assessing. "Miss Chen, welcome. I'm Margaret, Mr. Russo's housekeeper. And this must be Liam." Liam hides slightly behind Emma's leg, suddenly shy. Emma rests a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for having us." "Mr. Russo is in his study finishing a call. He asked me to show you around while you wait. This way, please." The interior is as beautiful as the exterior. Hardwood floors, tall ceilings, art that looks original on cream-colored walls. But it's not cold or sterile. There's warmth here, comfortable furniture, books on shelves, evidence of someone actually living in the space rather than just occupying it. Margaret leads them through a formal living room, a dining room with a table that could seat 12, a kitchen that makes Emma want to weep with its professional appliances and acres of counter space. The main house has Mr. Russo's private quarters on the 3rd floor, offices and formal rooms on this level, and the staff quarters in the east wing, Margaret explains. Your suite would be in the west wing, separate entrance, complete privacy. Shall we see it? They follow her down a hallway, through a door that could be locked from either side, and into a space that's larger than Emma's entire current apartment. A living area with a fireplace and comfortable furniture. A kitchenette with a small refrigerator, microwave and coffee maker. 2 bedrooms, one clearly designed for a child with built-in bookshelves and a window seat, the other spacious with an ensuite bathroom. Large windows overlook the gardens. Everything is decorated in soft, neutral colors, tasteful and expensive, but not impersonal. Oh my God, Emma breathes. Mommy, look! There's a bathtub with jets, Liam calls from the bathroom. Margaret smiles. Mr. Russo had the suite redecorated after you accepted his offer. He thought a 5-year-old might prefer space to explore. The grounds are entirely safe, fenced and monitored. There's a playhouse in the back garden and a swimming pool, though that's closed for the season now. Emma's eyes sting. She blinks rapidly, refusing to cry, but it's overwhelming. This space, this opportunity, the thoughtfulness of having the suite prepared for Liam. It's beautiful. Thank you. The school Mr. Russo has selected for Liam is Oakmont Academy, about 15 minutes away. One of the best private elementary schools in the state. Marcus would handle all transportation, unless you prefer to drive him yourself. How do you feel about this, sweetheart? Emma kneels down to Liam's level. Would you like to live here? Liam's eyes are wide. Can I really? In that room with the bookshelves? If we decide to take the job, yes. Then I want to, he says decisively. And maybe I can get a dog? We'll see about the dog. Emma stands, her decision already made, but needing to maintain some illusion of control. Can we meet Mr. Russo now? Margaret leads them back through the house to a study lined with books, a massive desk dominating the space. Alexander sits behind it, phone to his ear, but he raises a hand in greeting when they enter. He's wearing jeans and a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up, less formal than the suit from their first meeting, but no less commanding. He finishes his conversation in what sounds like Italian, fluid and natural, and hangs up. Miss Chen. Liam. Welcome. He stands, moving around the desk to shake Emma's hand. His grip is warm, firm. Then he crouches to Liam's level, a gesture that surprises Emma. You must be Liam. Your mother tells me you're starting kindergarten this year. Liam nods, still shy but curious. I like school, especially reading. Reading is important. I have a library here with lots of books. Maybe your mom will let you borrow some. He straightens, his attention shifting to Emma. What do you think of the suite? It's more than generous, Emma says carefully. Almost too generous. I need to understand what you're really expecting from me, Mr. Russo. People don't provide accommodations like this for a simple assistant position. His expression approves of her directness. Margaret, could you take Liam to the kitchen? I believe Cook prepared cookies. Cookies! Liam's shyness evaporates. He follows Margaret eagerly, leaving Emma alone with Alexander. Sit, please. Alexander gestures to a leather chair. Emma sits, spine straight, hands folded in her lap. He settles on the edge of his desk, close but not invasive. You're right to question. So let me be completely transparent about what I need. I'm 35 years old, unmarried by choice, because my lifestyle doesn't suit traditional relationships. I travel frequently, entertain often, and work irregular hours. I need someone to manage my household, coordinate with staff, ensure everything runs smoothly when I'm here, and especially when I'm not. That's the practical part. He pauses, seeming to choose his words carefully. The less practical part is that I need someone I trust. My business dealings, as I mentioned, operate in spaces where trust is currency. Having you here, living in my home, means you'll see and hear things. I need absolute confidence that nothing leaves these walls. The NDA covers that. The NDA covers legal obligations. I'm talking about personal integrity. I researched you thoroughly, Emma. May I call you Emma? She nods, throat tight. I researched you thoroughly because I needed to know if you have that integrity. The woman who counts quarters rather than steal, who works double shifts rather than accept welfare she qualifies for, who volunteers at her son's school despite having no free time. That's someone with the character I need. His dark eyes hold hers. What I'm offering is real. The pay, the accommodations, the opportunities for Liam. In exchange, I need discretion, competence, and presence. Sometimes that presence means accompanying me to events as my companion, so I don't field questions about why I'm alone. Sometimes it means managing crisis when suppliers fail or staff quit. Sometimes it means simply ensuring I have clean clothes and coffee in the morning. Can you handle that? Emma processes this. And if you ask me to do something I'm not comfortable with, then you tell me, and we discuss it. I'm not a tyrant, Emma. I'm a businessman who values efficiency and loyalty. I won't ask you to do anything illegal or immoral. I will ask you to work hard, maintain confidentiality, and be flexible. Does that work for you? It should terrify her. Instead, it feels manageable. Clear expectations, honest conversation, mutual benefit. When would I start? November 1st, as we discussed. That gives you 2 weeks to transition. I'll have movers handle your belongings, no cost to you. Oakmont has already accepted Liam's enrollment starting the same day. Margaret will help you settle in. Marcus will provide security and transportation. And this. He reaches into his desk and withdraws an envelope, thicker than the last one. Is half your first month's salary, as agreed. $5,000 to help with the transition. Emma takes the envelope with shaking hands. $5,000. She's never held this much money at once in her life. Thank you, she whispers. Don't thank me yet. Wait until you've worked for me a month. You might decide I'm not worth the salary. His lips curve in something like humor. Now, shall we collect Liam and discuss logistics? The rest of the visit passes in a blur of details. School uniforms Margaret will order. Dietary preferences for meal planning. Emma's schedule, which will be flexible, but generally 9 to 6 on weekdays, on call for events. She'll have her own office next to Alexander's for handling correspondence and coordination. Health insurance cards will arrive within a week. Margaret provides a staff directory, Alexander's calendar system, access codes for various parts of the house. By the time Marcus drives them home, Liam is asleep in the car seat, exhausted by excitement and sugar cookies. Emma watches the houses grow smaller and less maintained as they approach her neighborhood, already feeling the surreal disconnect between her old life and the new one waiting. Marcus helps carry Liam upstairs, the little boy barely stirring. Emma tucks him into bed, kisses his forehead, and returns to find Marcus waiting politely by the door. Miss Chen, Mr. Russo asked me to provide you with my contact information. If you need anything during the transition, any assistance at all, call me directly. He hands her a card. He also wanted me to tell you that he's glad you accepted his offer. He thinks you'll do well. Thank you, Marcus. After he leaves, Emma sits on her pull-out couch in the quiet apartment and opens the envelope. $50 $100 bills, crisp and new. She counts them twice, her hands trembling, then sits holding the stack, overwhelmed. This is real. In 2 weeks, she and Liam will move into that beautiful suite, start a new life, enter a world she doesn't understand. She thinks of Alexander's dark eyes, the way he crouched to speak to Liam at his level, the casual wealth and controlled power he radiates. She thinks of his words about needing someone with integrity, about his own mother counting quarters. There's more to him than the polished exterior suggests, layers she'll undoubtedly discover. But for now, all that matters is that she can buy Liam proper shoes. She can pay her rent without panic. She can breathe without the constant weight of impending disaster crushing her chest. Whatever comes next, whatever challenges or complications Alexander Russo brings into her life, at least she'll face them from a position of stability rather than desperation. It's a start. And sometimes, a start is everything. The next 2 weeks pass in a whirlwind of endings and beginnings. Emma gives her notice at Miller's Diner, and Sandra surprises her with a card signed by all the staff and a $50 gift card to Target. "Go get yourself something nice," Sandra says, hugging her tightly. "You deserve good things, Emma. Don't forget that." She won't forget, but she also can't explain where she's going, what she'll be doing. The NDA Alexander had delivered by courier is comprehensive and slightly terrifying in its scope. She tells people she's taken a private household management position, which is technically true, and deflects further questions with vague pleasantries. Liam's transition is smoother. He's thrilled about his new school, about the uniform Margaret ordered that arrived yesterday, navy blazer and khaki pants that actually fit, about the playhouse and the pool that will open next summer. His innocence makes this easier. He doesn't question why their lives are changing so dramatically, just accepts it with the adaptability of childhood. Mrs. Park is the only one Emma tells the fuller truth, or at least a version of it. The elderly woman listens, her expression concerned but understanding. "This man, he seems honorable?" "I think so," Emma says, "but I'm not sure I know what honor looks like anymore." "Then trust your instincts, and call me if you need anything. I'll be here." On October 31st, Halloween, movers arrive at Emma's apartment. They're efficient and professional, packing her meager possessions into boxes that seem embarrassingly few. One couch, one bed, clothes, Liam's toys, kitchen items she probably won't need given Margaret's fully stocked kitchen. By noon, the apartment is empty, echoing and slightly sad. Emma does a final walkthrough, checking closets and cabinets, and finds herself unexpectedly emotional. She's lived here for 8 months, the worst 8 months of her life, but also the months where she discovered her own strength, her ability to survive, to protect Liam, to keep going when everything felt impossible. This apartment witnessed her tears and her determination. It deserves acknowledgement. "Thank you," she whispers to the empty rooms. Then she locks the door for the last time and hands the keys to the building manager. Marcus is waiting outside with the Mercedes. Liam bounces with excitement, already wearing his Halloween costume, a dinosaur that Emma found at a thrift store and mended carefully. "Can we trick or treat at the new house?" "We'll see," Emma says, though she has no idea how Halloween works in neighborhoods like Alexander's. The drive is familiar now, Emma's 3rd trip to the house that will become home. This time, when they pull up the long driveway, Alexander is waiting on the front steps, hands in the pockets of his charcoal slacks, white shirt sleeves rolled up despite the November chill. He looks relaxed, almost approachable. "Welcome home," he says as they exit the car. His eyes meet Emma's, something warm in them that makes her pulse quicken. "Margaret has lunch ready when you're settled. Liam, there are kids in the neighborhood who trick-or-treat later. We get about 30 or 40. Would you like to help hand out candy?" Liam's eyes go wide. "Really? Really? I usually hide in my study and let Margaret handle it. But this year, we have an expert dinosaur to scare the other kids appropriately." Liam giggles, the sound bright and joyful, and Emma feels something in her chest unclench. This might actually be okay. This might actually work. Margaret helps them unpack, showing Emma where things should go, making suggestions without being overbearing. The suite absorbs Emma's belongings and still looks spacious, barely lived in. She arranges Liam's stuffed animals on his new bed, hangs his drawings on the walls of his room, tries to make the unfamiliar space feel like theirs. Lunch is in the kitchen, informal, just the 4 of them. Margaret, Alexander, Emma, and Liam. The food is simple but perfect. Grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup that tastes nothing like the canned version Emma buys. Alexander asks Liam about his favorite dinosaurs, listens attentively to the 5-year-old's enthusiastic lecture on the difference between velociraptors and Deinonychus, and Emma watches in slight amazement. This powerful, dangerous man is being charmed by her kindergartner. After lunch, Margaret takes Liam to prepare the candy for trick-or-treaters, leaving Emma alone with Alexander for the first time since their arrival. He gestures toward his study. "A moment?" Emma follows, her stomach fluttering with nerves. The study feels different now that she's an employee, more formal, less guest-friendly. Alexander closes the door and leans against his desk, the same casual position from their first meeting here. "How are you feeling about all this?" he asks directly. Overwhelmed, grateful, terrified. She decides honesty is best. "I keep waiting for the catch, for the other shoe to drop." "Fair enough. So let me drop a shoe now, get it over with." He crosses his arms. "Next Saturday, I have a charity gala. Children's Hospital fundraiser. Very visible, very social. I need you to accompany me. Evening gown, full event. Probably 4 hours, including travel. Can you handle that?" Emma's mind races. A gala. She's never been to a gala. "I don't have an evening gown. I'll have several sent over for you to choose from. My stylist will come Friday to help with fitting and logistics." "Your stylist?" "Emma, in my world, appearances matter. When you're at my side, you represent me. That means you'll be dressed appropriately, styled professionally, and prepared to make small talk with people whose names you'll forget immediately, but whose egos require nurturing. It's part of the job. It should feel demeaning, being dressed like a doll for display. Instead, it feels practical, clear expectations stated plainly." "Okay. What else?" "That's the biggest immediate item. For now, this week, focus on settling in, getting Liam comfortable with his new school, learning the household rhythms. Margaret will introduce you to the staff, show you the systems. By next week, I'll start transitioning my correspondence and scheduling to you. Questions?" "Hundreds, but none I can articulate right now." His lips curve. "Then ask them when they crystallize. My door is open, literally. If you need something, come find me." He pushes off the desk. "Now, I believe we have trick-or-treaters to prepare for. I hope you like Snickers." Margaret buys them in bulk. That evening, Emma experiences Halloween in a way she never has before. 30 or 40 turns out to be a conservative estimate. Nearly 70 children come up the long driveway, their parents waiting at the gate, dressed in elaborate costumes that probably cost more than Emma's monthly grocery budget used to. Liam hands out candy with Alexander's help, roaring appropriately at princesses and superheroes, his joy uncomplicated and infectious. Emma watches from the doorway, Margaret beside her, and feels tears sting her eyes for the 100th time today. This is what childhood should be. Safe, abundant, joyful. For the first time in 8 months, she's given Liam something beyond survival. She's given him wonder. "He's a good boy," Margaret says quietly. "And Mr. Russo, he doesn't usually engage like this. Children make him uncomfortable generally. But your Liam, he seems to bring out something different." "Does Mr. Russo want children of his own?" Emma asks, before she can stop herself. Margaret's expression becomes carefully neutral. "That's not my place to say. But I will tell you, he's been alone in this house for 5 years. No serious relationships, no one living in. Having you and Liam here, it's different. Good different, I think." The words settle strangely in Emma's chest. She's here to work, to manage a household, to provide a service. But the way Alexander looks at Liam, the way he spoke about his own mother's struggles, suggests complexity she hasn't begun to unravel. There are layers to Alexander Russo, and over the coming weeks and months, she'll discover them whether she intends to or not. That night, after Liam is asleep in his new bed, Emma sits in her new living room with a cup of tea Margaret brought her, looking out at the darkened gardens. Her phone buzzes. A text from Alexander, even though he's just down the hall. "You did well today. Get some rest. Tomorrow starts your real education." Emma types back, "Thank you for making Liam smile." The response is immediate. "Thank you for bringing life into this house. Sleep well, Emma." She sits holding the phone, warmth spreading through her chest that has nothing to do with the tea. This is dangerous territory, developing feelings for her employer, reading into kindness as something more. But Alexander Russo is compelling in ways she didn't expect, and living in his home, sharing his space, working by his side, she'll need to guard her heart carefully. Because men like Alexander don't fall for single mothers with broken pasts and uncertain futures. They offer opportunities, not romance. And confusing the two would be the fastest way to destroy the stability she's finally found. But as she lies in her comfortable new bed, listening to the quiet sounds of the house settling around her, Emma can't quite convince herself that the flutter in her stomach when Alexander smiled at her was purely professional. It's going to be a complicated arrangement. She just doesn't know yet how complicated. November slides into routine with surprising ease. Liam thrives at Oakmont Academy, coming home each day with stories about his new friends, about art class and music class, and the library that's bigger than his old entire school. Marcus drives him each morning, and Emma picks him up in the afternoons, using the second car Alexander provided for her use, a sleek Lexus SUV that makes her old Honda seem prehistoric. Emma's days develop their own rhythm. Mornings with Alexander going over his schedule, correspondence, coordinating with his various business interests. She learns quickly that his private investments span restaurants, real estate, import-export companies, and several businesses whose exact nature remains deliberately vague. She doesn't ask questions, processes paperwork, schedules meetings, and maintains the discretion he requires. Margaret teaches her the household systems, how to coordinate with the cleaning staff, the gardeners, the chef who comes 3 times a week to prepare meals. Emma had worried about feeling useless with so much staff, but Margaret assures her that coordination is a full-time job, that Alexander's previous attempts to manage it himself had resulted in chaos. The gala arrives faster than Emma expects. On Friday afternoon, a stylist named Dominique appears with 3 garment bags and a makeup case that looks like it could stock a small salon. She's French, elegant, probably 60, but styled to appear ageless, and she examines Emma with an assessing eye that feels clinical rather than judgmental. "Alexander has good taste," she says in accented English. "You have excellent bone structure. We work with this." The trying on of gowns feels surreal. 3 options, each more beautiful and expensive than the last. A midnight blue with off-shoulder sleeves, a deep emerald with a plunging back, a classic black with elegant beading. Emma gravitates toward the black, safe and traditional, but Dominique shakes her head. The blue. It makes your eyes extraordinary, and Alexander will appreciate that you didn't choose to disappear. I'm not trying to attract attention. Chérie, you are attending on Alexander Russo's arm. You will attract attention regardless. Better to look stunning than forgettable. Emma acquiesces, and Dominique works magic with makeup and hair, transforming Emma's usual casual ponytail and minimal cosmetics into something red carpet worthy. When she finally looks in the mirror, Emma barely recognizes herself. The woman staring back is sophisticated, polished, beautiful, in a way Emma hasn't felt since before Liam was born. "Perfect," Dominique says with satisfaction. "Now, the shoes." By the time Emma is fully dressed and ready, it's 6:30. The gala starts at 7, requiring 30 minutes drive according to Marcus. Emma makes her way downstairs carefully, the heels higher than she's worn in years, the gown's skirt requiring attention to navigate the stairs. Alexander is waiting in the foyer, checking his phone, and when he looks up and sees her, his expression freezes. For a long moment, he just stares. Then, quietly, "You look breathtaking." Heat floods Emma's cheeks. Dominique did all the work. Dominique enhanced what was already there. He pockets his phone and offers his arm. "Shall we?" The gala is at a downtown hotel. Its ballroom glittering with chandeliers and designer gowns and tuxedos that represent more combined wealth than Emma has encountered in her entire life. Alexander keeps her close, his hand firm on the small of her back, introducing her to dozens of people whose names blur together. Politicians, business owners, society matrons, all greeting Alexander with varying degrees of familiarity and speculation about Emma. "And who is this lovely young woman?" asks a silver-haired man, whose face Emma vaguely recognizes from news coverage. "Emma Chen, my personal assistant," Alexander says smoothly. "Emma, this is Senator Williams." They shake hands, Emma smiling politely while her mind races. A senator? She's shaking hands with a senator. The evening continues in this vein, introductions and small talk and champagne. Emma sips but doesn't drink, aware she needs all her faculties sharp. Alexander is a master at these events, charming when needed, cool when required, navigating social hierarchies with the skill of someone who's been doing this for decades. During dinner, Emma is seated beside Alexander at a table with 6 others, all paired couples except them. The woman to Emma's left, dripping in diamonds and boredom, leans over. "So how long have you and Alexander been together?" "We're not together," Emma says carefully. "I work for him." The woman's penciled eyebrows rise. "Really? The way he looks at you, I assumed." "Assumed incorrectly," Alexander interjects smoothly. "Emma is invaluable to my organization. I'm fortunate she agreed to accompany me tonight." The conversation shifts, but Emma feels the weight of speculation, sees the knowing looks exchanged. In this world, apparently, business and pleasure overlap frequently enough that no one quite believes their relationship is purely professional. It should bother her more than it does. Instead, she finds herself hyper-aware of Alexander beside her, the brush of his shoulder against hers, the way his hand finds the small of her back when they stand to mingle between courses. Halfway through the evening, Alexander excuses them and leads Emma to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. November air bites through her shawl, but it's refreshing after the crowded ballroom. "How are you holding up?" he asks. "My feet hurt, and I've forgotten approximately 60 names, but otherwise fine." He smiles, genuine amusement lighting his usually guarded expression. "You're doing remarkably well. Most people find these events excruciating." "You don't?" "I've had practice." He leans against the balcony railing, city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. "When I was younger, I hated them. All the posturing, the false intimacy, the games. But I learned they're necessary. Power in Chicago isn't just about money or connections. It's about being seen, being present, maintaining relationships that might prove useful." That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's also survival. In my world, isolation is weakness. Visibility is armor. He turns to face her fully. "Thank you for being here tonight. I know it's not what you signed up for." "Actually, it kind of is. You told me I'd need to accompany you to events." "I did. But knowing something intellectually and experiencing it are different. You've been gracious, charming, perfect. I appreciate that." The intensity of his gaze makes Emma's breath catch. They're alone on the balcony, the noise of the gala muted behind glass doors, and something in the air between them shifts. She should step back, maintain professional distance. Remember that he's her employer, and this is a job. Instead, she finds herself leaning slightly closer. "Alexander," she begins, not sure what she's about to say. The balcony door opens. A man steps out, younger than Alexander, handsome in a polished way that feels manufactured. His smile is predatory. "Rousseau, hiding from your admirers?" Alexander's expression shudders instantly, warmth replaced by cool professionalism. "Castellano, enjoying the evening?" "Immensely. Especially discovering you've finally found a companion worth bringing to these tedious events." The man, Castellano, turns his attention to Emma, and she feels assessed, evaluated, priced. "Vincent Castellano. And you are?" "Emma Chen," she says, accepting his offered handshake briefly. "Charming. Tell me, Miss Chen, how does one become Alexander Rousseau's personal assistant? The position must have quite the application process." There's an edge to his words, an implication Emma doesn't like. Before she can respond, Alexander steps between them, subtle but definitive. "Emma earned her position through competence, a quality you'd recognize if you possessed it yourself. If you'll excuse us, we were having a private conversation." Castellano's smile doesn't waver, but something cold enters his eyes. "Of course. Enjoy your evening." He retreats back inside, and Emma releases a breath. Who is that? Competition, rival interests, similar businesses, perpetual thorn in my side. Alexander's jaw is tight. I apologize for his insinuation. "It's fine. I'm getting used to people assuming I'm—" She trails off. "Assuming you're what?" "My mistress. My escort." Alexander's voice is hard. For what it's worth, anyone who knows me knows I don't mix business and pleasure. Your reputation is safe. The words should be reassuring. Instead, they land like a small rejection, a reminder of boundaries Emma shouldn't want to cross. She nods, wrapping her shawl tighter. "Should we go back inside?" The rest of the evening passes without incident, but Emma is acutely aware of the looks, the whispers, the speculation surrounding her presence at Alexander's side. By the time they return to the house at midnight, she's exhausted, feet aching, smile muscles sore from hours of polite pleasantness. Marcus opens her door, and she accepts Alexander's hand to help her out, grateful for the support as her ankle wobbles on the cobblestones. "Careful," Alexander murmurs, his hand moving to her waist to steady her. For a moment they stand close, his cologne wrapping around her, his body heat cutting through the November cold. Emma looks up, finds him watching her with an expression she can't read, and her heart hammers against her ribs. "Emma," he says quietly, and the way he says her name feels different than before, weighted with something unspoken. "Yes?" "Nothing. Thank you again for tonight." He steps back, breaking the moment, professional distance reestablishing itself. "Sleep well." Emma watches him disappear into the house, then makes her way to her suite, her thoughts a tangled mess. She changes out of the gown, hangs it carefully, removes Dominique's artistic makeup, and finally collapses into bed. But sleep doesn't come easily. She keeps replaying the balcony moment, the almost something that passed between them, the way Alexander's guard had dropped for just an instant before Castellano interrupted. She's in dangerous territory, developing feelings she has no business having. Alexander Rousseau is her employer, her benefactor, the man who saved her and Liam from desperation. Reading more into his kindness would be foolish, unprofessional, potentially catastrophic to the stability she's found. She needs to maintain boundaries, remember her place, protect her heart. But as she drifts finally into sleep, Emma can't quite forget the warmth in Alexander's eyes when he called her breathtaking, or the gentle strength of his hand at her waist, or the quiet way he said her name like it meant something beyond a professional designation. Dangerous territory, indeed. And she's already in deeper than she should be. The weeks following the gala settle into a new normal. Emma manages Alexander's increasingly complex schedule, coordinates household operations, and occasionally accompanies him to business dinners, where her presence serves some purpose she doesn't fully understand, but doesn't question. Liam thrives, his kindergarten teacher sending home glowing reports about his reading level and his enthusiasm for learning. For the first time in nearly a year, Emma breathes without the constant weight of anxiety crushing her chest. Thanksgiving approaches, and Emma assumes she and Liam will spend it quietly, maybe with Mrs. Park if the elderly woman wants company. But on the Monday before the holiday, Alexander appears in her office with an unusual expression, almost hesitant. "Do you have plans for Thanksgiving?" he asks without preamble. "Not really. I thought I'd cook something simple for Liam and me." "Would you consider spending it here, in the main house? Margaret is preparing a full dinner, and it seems silly for you to cook separately when there will be more food than 3 people can possibly eat." 3 people. Alexander, Margaret, and presumably the chef. "You don't have family to spend the holiday with." Something shudders in his expression. "No. No family." The words are clipped, final, closing down further questions. "But I understand if you prefer to keep the holiday private with Liam." Emma makes a decision. "We'd love to join you. Can Liam help with anything? He's been learning about Thanksgiving at school, and he's excited to participate." Alexander's expression softens. "I'm sure Margaret can find tasks for an enthusiastic 5-year-old. "Thank you, Emma." Thanksgiving Day arrives cold and bright. Emma dresses herself and Liam in casual but nice clothes, not sure what the dress code is for holiday dinners with one's employer. They make their way to the main kitchen, where Margaret is orchestrating a complex dance of timers and temperatures. A massive turkey in the oven, pies cooling on every available surface. "There's my helper," Margaret exclaims when she sees Liam. "I need someone to taste test the mashed potatoes to make sure they're perfect. Think you can handle that?" Liam nods enthusiastically, and Emma watches with a full heart as her son is given a spoon and a small bowl of potatoes, his expression serious as he evaluates their quality. Alexander appears in the doorway, dressed casually in dark jeans and a gray sweater, looking more relaxed than Emma has ever seen him. "What's the verdict?" he asks Liam. "They're really good," Liam reports, "but maybe they need a little more butter." "A man after my own heart," Alexander says solemnly. "Everything needs more butter." The afternoon passes in a warm haze of cooking smells and easy conversation. Emma helps Margaret with final preparations, while Alexander, surprisingly, keeps Liam entertained, showing him the library, letting him explore the study under supervision, answering endless 5-year-old questions with more patience than Emma would have expected from a man who claimed children make him uncomfortable. Dinner is served in the smaller dining room, intimate rather than formal, just the 4 of them around a table that could seat 8. The food is extraordinary, far beyond Emma's cooking capabilities, and Liam declares it the best Thanksgiving ever, with the certainty of someone whose previous best involved grocery store turkey and boxed stuffing. After dinner, while Liam plays with new books Alexander apparently bought for this occasion, the adults linger over coffee. Margaret excuses herself to clean up despite Emma's offers to help, leaving Emma alone with Alexander for the first time in days. They've both been busy, their interactions mostly professional, limited to work discussions and scheduling. "This was nice," Alexander says quietly. "I don't usually do holidays. They're complicated for me." Emma waits, sensing he'll continue if she doesn't push. "My mother died when I was 12, he says, staring into his coffee. "My father was never really in the picture. I spent holidays in foster care or group homes, Places where they tried to manufacture family feeling, but mostly just highlighted everything I didn't have. He looks up, meeting Emma's eyes. This is the first Thanksgiving in 23 years that felt real. So, thank you for sharing it with me. Emma's throat tightens. Thank you for including us. Liam's father wasn't interested in holidays or family. This year, I thought it would be just us trying to pretend we weren't missing something. But you've made it special. We're quite a pair, aren't we? Alexander's lips curve in a rueful smile. Broken pieces trying to build something whole. Maybe that's the point, Emma says softly. Maybe broken pieces fit together better than perfect ones. Something shifts in Alexander's expression, intensity replacing vulnerability. He reaches across the table, his hand covering hers, where it rests beside her coffee cup. His palm is warm, his grip firm but gentle. Emma, I need to tell you something. Her heart stutters. Okay. When I hired you, I told myself it was purely practical. I needed someone I could trust, someone with integrity, someone who would manage my life efficiently. All of that was true. But sitting here now, watching you with Liam, experiencing what it's like to have life in this house, instead of just existence, I'm realizing my motivations were more complicated than I admitted. Alexander, Emma breathes, not sure if she's warning him to stop or encouraging him to continue. I'm not good at this, he continues, his thumb stroking across her knuckles in a way that sends electricity up her arm. Relationships, emotional vulnerability, any of it. My life doesn't leave room for conventional romance. But I need you to know that what I feel when I look at you isn't professional anymore. Maybe it never was. Emma's world narrows to the point where their hands connect, to the dark intensity of Alexander's gaze, to the racing of her own heart. Every rational thought tells her this is dangerous, inappropriate, potentially catastrophic. He's her employer, her benefactor, the man who holds her and Liam's security in his hands. Crossing this line could destroy everything, but the loneliness she sees in Alexander's eyes mirrors her own, and the connection humming between them feels more real than anything she's experienced in years, maybe ever. She turns her hand over, lacing her fingers through his. I feel it too, she whispers. I've been trying not to, trying to maintain boundaries, but I feel it. Alexander stands, still holding her hand, drawing her up beside him. They're close now, close enough that she can see flecks of amber in his dark eyes, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from his body. Tell me to stop, he murmurs. Tell me this is a terrible idea, and we should forget this conversation ever happened. It probably is a terrible idea, Emma agrees, but I don't want to stop. He cups her face in his hands, his touch gentle, despite the calloused strength of his palms, and kisses her. It's soft at first, questioning, giving her space to pull away. When she doesn't, when she instead rises on her toes and kisses him back, it deepens into something that feels like coming home and falling off a cliff simultaneously. They break apart, both breathing hard, Alexander's forehead resting against hers. I can't offer you conventional, he says quietly. My life, my business, it's complicated and sometimes dangerous, but I can offer you honesty, protection, and whatever capacity for love a man like me still possesses. Is that enough? Emma thinks of the past year, of desperation and survival, and the slow rebuilding of hope. She thinks of Liam, happy and thriving. She thinks of the safety and stability Alexander has provided, not as obligation, but as gift. And she thinks of the loneliness in his eyes that mirrors her own. Two broken pieces that might, possibly, fit together into something stronger than either could build alone. It's enough, she says, as long as you understand I come with complications too. a 5-year-old who needs stability, boundaries around what he's exposed to, and a mother who will always put his well-being first. I wouldn't expect anything less. Alexander kisses her forehead, tender and reverent. We'll figure it out together, slowly, carefully, protecting what matters. From the library, Liam's voice calls out, "Mommy, can Mr. Alexander read me the dinosaur book?" They step apart, the spell broken, but not shattered, reality reasserting itself gently. Emma calls back, "If Mr. Alexander doesn't mind." "I don't mind at all," Alexander says, his eyes still on Emma, promising continuation of this conversation later, in private. He squeezes her hand once more, then releases it, moving toward the library and the small boy waiting with a book about prehistoric creatures. Emma watches him go, her lips still tingling from their kiss, her heart full of terror and hope in equal measure. She's crossing a line she told herself she wouldn't cross. But maybe, just maybe, on the other side of that line is the family she and Liam have been searching for all along. The next weeks blur together in a haze of careful navigation. Emma and Alexander are discreet, stealing moments alone when Liam is at school or asleep, but making no formal announcements, changing nothing outwardly. To the staff, Emma remains the efficient assistant. To the outside world at the business dinners and charity events, she's still Alexander's companion in the professional sense. But in the quiet hours, in the study after Liam's bedtime, or the kitchen when Margaret has left for the evening, they learn each other. Emma discovers that Alexander's dangerous reputation is partially earned, that his business dealings do indeed brush against legal boundaries, that the men he dines with are sometimes men whose names appear in FBI investigations. But she also discovers his loyalty to those in his inner circle is absolute, that he operates by a code of honor most legitimate businessmen have abandoned, that his word, once given, is inviolable. Alexander learns about Emma's marriage to Jake, about the slow erosion from love to control to fear, about the night she packed a suitcase and drove away with Liam asleep in the car seat, not knowing where she would go, but knowing she couldn't stay. He learns about her parents' death, about being orphaned at 21 with student loans and no safety net, about the determination that's carried her through every crisis. They're careful around Liam, maintaining appropriate boundaries, but the little boy is perceptive. One evening in mid-December, as Emma tucks him into bed, he asks, "Mommy, are you and Mr. Alexander going to get married?" Emma's heart stutters. "What makes you ask that?" "You smile different when he's around, like you're happy inside, not just pretend happy." Out of the mouths of babes, Emma smooths his hair back from his forehead. "Would it bother you if Mr. Alexander and I spent more time together? Like girlfriend-boyfriend time?" Liam considers this seriously. "Would he still read me stories?" "I think he would." "And we'd still live here?" "Yes, baby." "Then it's okay. I like Mr. Alexander. He's nice to you, and he knows a lot about dinosaurs." Emma laughs, kissing his forehead. "Those are excellent criteria. I'll keep them in mind." The conversation with Liam gives Emma courage to address the situation directly with Alexander. That night, after Liam is asleep, she finds Alexander in his study. "We need to talk about what this is," she says without preamble. "Where this is going." Alexander sets aside the paperwork he was reviewing and gives her his full attention. "What do you want it to be?" "I want to know if this is temporary, a phase that will end when the novelty wears off, or if you're serious about building something real." "I don't do temporary, Emma. I don't have the emotional capacity for casual. If I'm investing in this, in us, it's because I intend for it to last." He stands, moving around the desk to stand before her. "I love you. I probably loved you from the moment I saw you crying in that grocery store, choosing dignity over comfort. I love your strength, your devotion to Liam, your sharp mind and sharper wit. I love the way you've brought life into this mausoleum. And I'm asking if you'll let me love you properly, publicly, permanently." Tears sting Emma's eyes. "Are you proposing?" "Not yet. Too soon. Too fast. But I'm declaring intention. When you're ready, when Liam's ready, when you're sure this is what you want, I'll ask properly. With a ring and a bended knee and all the traditional nonsense. But for now, I just need to know if you're willing to try." Emma closes the distance between them, wrapping her arms around his neck. "I'm willing. I'm terrified. But I'm willing. I love you, too, Alexander. God, help me. I love you." He lifts her off her feet, spinning her once before kissing her deeply, thoroughly, until they're both breathless. When he sets her down, his eyes are bright with emotion she's never seen in them before. "Then we'll figure out the rest together." Christmas arrives with snow and a kind of magic Emma hasn't experienced since childhood. Alexander insists on a massive tree in the main living room, and Liam helps decorate it with an enthusiasm that's infectious. On Christmas morning, presents appear under the tree, thoughtful gifts that show Alexander has been paying attention. For Liam, books about dinosaurs, a microscope set, art supplies. For Emma, first editions of her favorite novels, a laptop to replace her broken one, and a delicate gold bracelet with a small charm in the shape of a key. "What does the key mean?" she asks, touched beyond words. "You unlocked something in me I thought was permanently closed," Alexander says quietly. "My heart, my capacity for family, my hope for something beyond survival. The key represents what you've given me." Emma kisses him, not caring that Liam and Margaret are in the room, that staff might see, that boundaries are blurring beyond redemption. Because this is her family now, imperfect and unconventional and built from broken pieces, but real and solid and worth fighting for. The new year brings changes. Alexander takes Emma and Liam to Italy for 2 weeks, showing them the country of his mother's birth, introducing Liam to gelato and ancient ruins and the Mediterranean Sea. They're seen together publicly now, no longer pretending their relationship is purely professional, and the speculation Emma worried about never materializes into serious scandal. Alexander's world accepts her because Alexander has made it clear she's permanent, and opposing Alexander Russo is rarely wise. In March, Vincent Castellano, the rival who insulted Emma at the gala, is arrested for securities fraud. Alexander claims no involvement, but Emma notices how carefully he avoids discussing the details. Some questions are better left unasked. In May, on Liam's 6th birthday, Alexander throws a party at the house with 20 kindergartners running through the gardens, bouncing in an inflatable castle, and eating enough pizza and cake to supply a small army. Emma watches Alexander chasing children through a water balloon fight, his expensive clothes soaked and his laughter genuine, and thinks this is what healing looks like. On a warm June evening, Alexander takes Emma to the garden, where they first kissed at Thanksgiving, a place that's become special to them. He's nervous, she can tell, his usual confidence slightly shaken. And when he drops to one knee, pulls out a velvet box containing a ring that's both elegant and unique, and asks her to marry him properly, officially, permanently. Emma doesn't hesitate. "Yes," she says through happy tears. "Yes, absolutely, yes." They marry in September, a small ceremony in the garden, with Liam as ring-bearer, Mrs. Park in attendance, Margaret crying happy tears, and Marcus smiling from his security position. Emma wears a simple white dress, and Alexander can't stop staring at her like she's the most miraculous thing he's ever encountered. When the officiant pronounces them husband and wife, their kiss is witnessed by the small gathering of people who matter. And Emma thinks of that night in Save Mart 1 year ago, counting quarters and removing items from her cart while trying not to cry. She thinks of the man who saw her at her lowest and offered hope. She thinks of every moment since that brought them to this point, the fears and risks and leaps of faith required. And she thinks of the future stretching ahead, not perfect, but theirs, built on honesty and mutual respect, and a love neither of them was looking for, but both desperately needed. That evening, after the small reception, after Liam is asleep in his room surrounded by new books from wedding guests, Emma and Alexander stand on their bedroom balcony overlooking the gardens. "Thank you," Emma says softly, "for seeing me when I felt invisible, for giving Liam stability, for loving us." Alexander pulls her close, his arms wrapped around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Thank you for teaching me that love isn't weakness, for bringing joy into this house, for choosing me despite every rational reason not to." Below them, the gardens glow with solar lights Margaret installed. The house, once a mausoleum, now rings with life, with laughter, with the sounds of a family choosing each other daily. Emma's journey from desperation to joy wasn't easy or simple, and she knows challenges will still come. Alexander's world is complicated, and threats still lurk in shadows. But standing here in the arms of the man who put hope in her grocery cart when she needed it most, Emma understands something fundamental. Love isn't about perfect circumstances or conventional paths. It's about finding someone who sees you completely and loves you anyway. It's about building safety together. It's about choosing every day to face whatever comes as partners, rather than alone. The stars emerge overhead, distant and bright. Emma leans back against Alexander's solid strength and whispers, "We made it." "We did," he agrees, kissing her temple. "And we're just getting started." Because that's the truth about love built from broken pieces. It doesn't erase the past or guarantee an easy future, but it provides a foundation strong enough to weather whatever storms arrive, built on the simple miracle of two lonely people finding each other at exactly the right moment, in the fluorescent-lit aisle of Save Mart, where hope appeared when all seemed lost. And sometimes, that miracle is everything. What did you think of their story? Share your thoughts in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, what's your rating? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow all our stories, and check out more emotional stories by clicking on the end screen.